Thank you for joining us here today. We're going to do a quick recap of the 26-28 football season and playoffs. My name is Brian Bunselmeyer. I'm the Executive Director of TAPS, joined by our Athletic Directors, Steve Ahulan and Brian Marmion. We're going to talk a little bit about the season and the playoffs to get us all ready for the 26-28 football year. 25 season was a great one. We're looking forward to moving on to next year, and that'll begin shortly. Changes are coming for the 26-28 alignment cycle for all activities. Football is just one change amongst the calendar. One of the basic changes is football will end the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's going to be 2 weeks earlier than it has been in previous years. This change is new, but it's been many years in the coming. So it's over 12 years we've been working to get the whole calendar for all TAPS activities ready. Steve, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the length of the season, what it was, what it is, and what we can expect?
Thanks, Brian. Well, we've always finished the state championships the week after Thanksgiving, and now that we're going to accomplish that by completing our season the week before Thanksgiving, we've got to change our length of season and number of games. First of all of our football teams may play up to 10 games over an 11-week period. The big change here is that the week of the second scrimmage is now going to be week 0, and that playing date could be used for a second scrimmage or for your first game. So schools can now have 2 scrimmages and then play 10 games in 10 weeks, or use that second scrimmage to play a game, allowing for 10 games over 11 weeks and have a bye in their season. Obviously, though, the big thing that is on everybody's mind is, if this is going to be the case, how do we qualify for the playoffs? So I'm going to turn that over to Brian Marmion to explain 11-man football playoffs.
Thanks, Steve. Well, starting with the Division I, we've got 16 teams in the division, so 8 teams are going to advance to the playoffs. We're going to take the top 3 teams from each district, and then between the 2 fourth-place teams and our 1 independent team, the 2 teams with the highest wildcard points earned are going to advance to fill out the bracket. At the Division II level, we have 21 teams over 4 districts, so we're going to divide that into 12 teams making the playoffs into 2 brackets. We'll have 2 championships for the division. And how this is going to work is the top 3 teams from each district are going to be divided into a large school and a small school bracket of 6 teams each. The largest schools from each of the districts and the next 2 largest schools remaining are going to be in the large school bracket, and that's regardless of how those last 2 teams finish. The remaining schools will be in the small bracket, and we'll seed the teams based on their district finish. If there's ties, we'll first look to head-to-head play and then average wildcard points after that. Our 11-man Division III, we have 17 total teams in 3 districts. 8 teams will advance to the playoffs and into a single bracket. Our top 2 teams from districts 1 through 3, as well as the third-place team from District 3, will advance, plus the team with the next highest wildcard average between the thirds in Districts 1 and 2 and the fourth in District 3 to round out the field. For Division 4, there's 13 teams in 2 districts. 8 teams will advance to the playoffs in a single bracket. The top 4 teams from District 1 and the top 3 teams from District 2, plus the highest average wildcard point earner between District 1 5th place and District 2 4th place will advance. If those 2 teams happen to play each other in the regular season, head-to-head would trump wildcard point average.
So what I'm hearing you say, Brian, is in the 11-man as it will be in 6-man district finish counts. So all games count, all games matter. So as you go back through and you're planning the wild card points, that might be a factor down the road, but the real factor is winning you're in, getting that top 3 or 4 and give yourself a chance. And we're going to see that same thing play out in the 6-man world as well that Steve's going to talk about in just a minute. So the biggest thing that I see in 11-man here, folks, is as we change, we're going from 4 championship brackets to 5, so we're looking forward to adding that 1 championship for 2026. Steve Ahulan, tell us a little bit more about non-aligned and what that means in the 11-man world.
Sure. We've always had the non-aligned, sometimes we call it Division 5. But we've made some changes to that as well. Our non-aligned teams are those teams that, they're starting their program up or they don't feel they're quite ready to be aligned to a district or compete for district honors. But we've made some changes with that as well. First of all, the length of the season, number of games will change just the way they do for our aligned 11-man teams and 6-man teams. Now, football teams that are non-aligned may play up to 9 games over a 10-week period. What's important is we're going to have them finish their regular season 1 week before our teams that are playing a district schedule. So the week of the second scrimmage is once again considered week 0, and schools can keep a second scrimmage and then play 9 games in 9 weeks, or they could use that week 0 to play a game. That would allow them to play 9 games over 10 weeks and have a bye in their schedule. What we're going to introduce is the opportunity for bowl games at the end of the season, which, remember, that season ends 1 week before everybody else's regular season. But at the end of that season, the 4 non-aligned teams that have the highest average wild card points earned have the opportunity to play in a postseason bowl game. The highest point earner will host the second highest wildcard point earner, and the third highest will host the fourth. Those games must be played that following week, immediately after the end of the regular season. The highest point earner, once again, will host the second one.
So, Steve, what I'm hearing you say about non-aligned football, it's been around for a while now, teams that have opted out of district play, we're going back in and giving them an opportunity for a postseason opportunity. Again, staying with that 50% rule, 50% of the teams would then qualify for what we're going to call a bowl game. The other 50% would not. Does that sound about right?
That is correct. And also, Brian, the one thing we'll also introduce is an all bowl team that their kids can be honored in that way. But moving on to 6-man football, Brian, why don't you talk about playoffs and 6-man?
So 6-man's Division 1 and 2. We're still going to play 6-man Division 1, and we're still going to play 6-man Division 2. They're going to be competing within their districts. Again, that finish matters. So basically, the top 2 teams from each district, plus the highest 4 average wild card points earned in each division, qualify for the playoffs. That's going to give us a grand total, if I'm not mistaken, of 24 teams advancing to the playoffs. The largest school from each D1 district, plus the next 4 largest schools, will move forward into the large school bracket. The smallest 4 schools from Division 2, plus the next 4 smallest schools, regardless of district finish, are in the same bracket. The remaining schools are in the medium bracket. The schools are seeded based on district finish. Once again, ties are broken by head to play, then average wild card points earned. 3 is an animal all of itself, and again, we're moving to 2 brackets coming out of this, so the top 2 schools from districts 1 through 5 and the top 3 schools from district 6, and then you'll add in the next 3 highest average wild card points between the 3rd place in districts 1 through 5 and the 4th in district 6 are divided into large and small school brackets. District 6 is by far the largest district right now on paper. If it stays that way, they will get 1 extra team or a possibility of that into the playoffs. The largest school from each district and the next 2 largest schools remaining in the large bracket, regardless of district finish. The remaining schools are in the small school bracket, and they're seeded based on district finish. Ties are again broken by head-to-head play and average wild card finish. So it brings up wild cards. I'm going to tell you, I've been doing this a long time. We've had wild cards for approximately 12 to 15 years, back to the old days. It actually started in Division 1 11-man when we were bringing an independent in out of El Paso, and then also comparing them into the other districts when we had a larger D1 pool in 11-man. So, Steve, tell us a little bit more about the wild card point system.
Thanks, Brian. Yes, TAPS established the wildcard point system some time ago. It has been established by TAPS. We've had it in use for 12 or more years there. A couple things that are really important to remember. First of all, points are only earned when you win that game. If you play a 6A school, that's great competition, but if you don't beat that team, you do not earn points for that. You do earn wild card points regardless of whether it's a district game or a non-district game. So your district games count as far as accumulating wild card points as well as your non-district ones, but it must be a win. If you receive a forfeit or a no contest, you do not earn any points for that contest. Let's look at average wildcard points earned. Because some schools will be playing different numbers of games, we want to make sure that those are average wildcard points earned. So the total wildcard points earned will be divided by the total number of games that school plays. So let's look at the wildcard point values for 11-man. Starting with UIL 6A, you would earn 7 points, and on the way down you can see what you would get for a win against a UIL 5A, 4A, and so on, along with how many points you'd get for playing a TAPS Division 1 or Division 2, along with SPC or a TAPS non-aligned school. If you're playing a non-aligned school, it doesn't matter their size, you would earn 2 points for that. All others that are, whether it's a charter school or those kind of things or something that's not on the table, would be 1 point. Moving on to 6A, we have the same structure there. You can look and find what kind of classification the school is that you're playing and who you beat. A TAPS Division 1 school or a UIL 1A Division 1 6-man school would earn you 5 points, all the way down to a single point for somebody who may not be aligned with a league.
So again, to kind of recap on the wild card points, TAPS is not telling you who to schedule. They're not telling you where or when to schedule. What we're telling you is whoever you schedule does have a point value out there that may come into play later on. Obviously, if you're looking at travel as a concern, then the wild card points probably a secondary thing. If you're looking at gaining the maximum wild card points, there's only so many schools out there to do your best with. Your district games all earn wild card points. Need to make sure we tell you that the district schools are going to count into your wild card points, so we're looking forward to that. We know it's a change. We know things are coming. Remember, this wild card point table was established by the AEC and the executive board and is being reaffirmed every year. So that's something that's been in place, and we're simply continuing it forward and applying it in a different way, maybe, or in an extra way. So we're looking forward to 26-28. We're looking forward to those football seasons as we put a wrap on 25. So as we head into the new year, if you have questions, reach out to us, info@taps.biz. Give us a call, 254-947-9268. Brian Marmion, our newest athletic director, sitting here at the table with me. Steve Ahulin, our other athletic director. Robert Huckabee's here as well to help answer your questions. And of course, I'm always available. So reach out if you need us. And, all I can say is have a happy holiday, and let's have a great New Year as we go into 2026.